How's it going, everyone? We are about to get started on our AMA, and you can submit your questions either in the Discord channel. We've got a dedicated, uh, what is it called? AMA questions channel on our Discord, as well as you can add your questions to the chat here, and I will try to get through as many as I can. Okay. Give 1 minute just for everyone to join from Discord, and then we'll get started. I'll have the Discord pulled up, and so you'll see me look over every once in a while as I get through all these. Okay, this AMA is all about our pooled NFT product that we've gone live with this past week. And so I'll prioritize questions about that. And judging by going through these questions just before hopping on this live, looks like there's a lot of questions about growth, kind of people wondering what's next. And so I'll do my best to communicate that and for a certain amount that I'm willing to communicate. Okay. So first I want to actually start by explaining what is pooled NFT and why is it important to hi-fi? Why does it matter to us? Why is the team spending this time right now of all times to build out this this infrastructure layer, give it away for free, and not take any fees on it? Why does this make sense for us, and why does it make sense for you as a member of our hi-fi DAO? So first, let's start with what it is. So the pooled NFT concept is really, really simple. In fact, the smart contract is deceptively simple. It's just a couple of functions. You can deposit into the pool, you can withdraw from the pool, and basically the whole smart contract sets out to accomplish one thing, and that is make sure one NFT, one pooled NFT is backed by an NFT from that specific collection. Okay, so pools are collection specific. So, for example, a Bored Ape pool would be a different ERC20 token than a PodBots pool. So every collection gets its own ERC20 token, and anyone can do it. You don't need permission. You don't need to email hi-fi. You don't need to do anything except go to poolednft.com, log in, put in the contract address for your 721 token, and deploy from our factory the ERC20 token contract that is the pool for that specific NFT project. So anyone can do it. And there's lots of reasons why you would want to do it right now. And there's even more reasons in the future why it's going to be valuable. So the concept is simple. You deposit NFTs into a pool, and you get an NFT, or excuse me, you get an ERC20 token representing your ownership in that pool. Okay. What this means is anybody can freely trade their NFTs in and out of that pool. And the expected behavior we imagine will happen is that for any given collection, you'll likely get the most common type of NFTs from the collection, or those floor NFTs, to be the ones that are persistent within that pool. But what is nice is that this sets a foundation for liquidity for NFT communities that they can have. So if you've got a rare one of one or some more rare NFT from a collection, then you likely would like to hold on to that. And we have a product update that I'll talk a little bit about here so you know about it. But you likely don't want to deposit that special NFT into a pool, because once you put it into the pool, you have no guarantee that that specific NFT will be available to you in the future to pull it out of. Okay, so um, what does this do? Well, it unlocks a whole lot of opportunity for the entire NFT space. Namely, you can uh, there's a bunch of use cases you can use these ERC20s with, and I'll cover a handful of them that you can do today. So right now, you can use this with any decentralized application that is ERC20 compatible. So let's start with the easy ones. So Disperse app is a popular app that's used for airdropping tokens to communities. And so we've done this before where we've airdropped tokens. That's actually how we process the token airdrop for the hi-fi token. For all those who voted for the token swap, we used an app called Disperse app. So previously it was quite expensive and difficult to airdrop NFTs to anybody. Now that you can deposit them into a pool and receive an ERC20 token, you can go to Disperse app and you can airdrop to a large group of people for relatively cheap. So that's cool. So that it can be a growth enabling tool for marketing teams that are part of NFT collections. They can have new incentives. It fractionalizes your NFTs. So now, you can turn any NFT collection into a rewards type of component for any type of reward system. So, people can be earning small increments of an NFT collection. And the NFT basically represents like exposure to the broader collection itself. As, Bored Apes becomes more popular, like the floor price is what people watch. And this tool will basically, or it should, it might not, but we expect that it's going to track the floor price of these NFT collections, because there exists an arbitrage opportunity between other markets and the pooled NFT. We expect that it will basically follow the floor or be the floor itself. So you can use them as rewards. You can use them for airdrops. Another thing that you can do today is you could go and create a Sablier stream with it. You could actually stream your pawn bot. You could stream, basically any 721 ERC20 token, or excuse me, any 721 NFT token. So that's pretty cool. But the big enabler is that you're now compatible with decentralized exchanges like Uniswap. And so, we're obviously fans of Uniswap around here, and so you can go and add liquidity and turn any NFT collection into a passive income generating asset for you. So we've gone from these idle assets to all of a sudden it can become productive, and that is a huge deal. You can start earning fees with these. You can start auto balancing your portfolio by, for example, we've got the Porsche NFTs and the PawnBot NFTs in our collection. You could, basically go and create a market between those two tokens, and that will auto balance your exposure to those two tokens while earning you a fee. So this is a pretty big deal. To be able to like plug into these different protocols. So, and in the future, we expect that you'll be able to use these as collateral across different DeFi protocols. Now, our intention, of course, is to bring some of these protocols to the hi-fi lending protocol. So, what does that look like? So our protocol, if you are following our Twitter, you'll see this tweet. Essentially, our protocol requires a couple of things for an asset to be added as collateral. You need first a price oracle, and second, you need liquidity for instances where a liquidation is necessary. The protocol can automatically sell it into some pool of liquidity out there. And so this is how any NFT project can help grow their community and begin to qualify for listing on hi-fi or other lending protocols if they choose to support these types of assets. I hope one day that Coinbase adds, you know, a pooled NFT ERC20 token to their exchange, because I think they'd make more fees on it than they did with their Coinbase NFT project. But uh, that's for them to discover and add for themselves. I mean, any exchange, I guess, could do it, but with their NFT failure, I think that they could have a really cool redemption arc along that storyline. So. Um, so Uniswap liquidity is incredibly enabling because it starts to unlock additional DeFi applications. And so this is the beginning of the financialization of NFTs as a whole. And some people are not going to like that, and some people are going to love it. And I personally, of course, am not only incentivized, but I am really excited for this because it means that I can more easily manage my exposure to specific NFT projects and make them productive assets within my portfolio. So that's what's exciting. That's what Pooled NFT does for us. And this is why it matters to the Hi-Fi DAO, is because we cannot add these NFTs into our protocol without this type of infrastructure. And what's really convenient is this is a value add to any NFT collection, regardless if they end up being approved by the DAO to get into our lending protocol as collateral. And so let me try and explain that for a second. So what you have happen within the NFT space is oftentimes when an NFT project becomes popular, you start to price out a crowd, and basically at any price, you're pricing somebody out. And so, in proportion to the amount of people that have been priced out within your audience, um, in proportion to the number of people who are priced out, you will find that pooled NFTs is equally as valuable to your community. So, what does that mean? That essentially means that as you bring pooled NFT a part of any NFT community, we help increase the demand for a project, because people who were once priced out of a community can now be an active participant and get exposure to it. It unlocks new ways to gain exposure to that community. For example, a lot of crypto speculators prefer to dollar cost average into collections, and so now with these fractionalized opportunities to get exposure to the whole collection, you don't even have to pick a specific NFT, but you're going to follow the basic trend of that collection. Since you can gain access to that on a fractional level, essentially you have a new buyer. And so the more we can grow the audience of people who actually get exposure to a specific community, the more the demand can increase, and the more stable the market can be in, first price discovery, and then kind of maturity in its maintaining wherever supply and demand is. So this is something that I see that, unless it threatens your existing revenue model for the NFT collection, you absolutely want. There's like no exceptions to this. Um, this will help increase demand because it helps increase the audience size, which can have exposure. And that's a really good thing for projects who are interested in growth, which are most of the projects I see out there. So yeah, I think that this is a value add proposition, regardless of if the lending protocol gets involved, and that's really exciting because this tool now becomes a top of funnel activity for the lending protocol. In other words, this is how we can discover projects and get in contact with them, and use this as essentially a marketing tool to bring people into our lending protocol, or bring new projects into our lending protocol, and work with them on making sure we have durable liquidity there, making sure that we've got the proper safeguards, and finding out exactly what those safeguards are, and everything is essentially an exercise in us experimenting and educating ourselves, and being cautious and conservative at first in terms of what amount of credit we extend to any specific collection. So um so that's what pooled NFTs is, and that's why it matters to us. It's a top of funnel activity that is helping us grow our audience by helping other projects grow their audience. We have a value add proposition for any NFT collection today. So next, let's talk about new features that are coming. So we ship this, and there's much to be desired in terms of the user interface, and that was done intentionally. We wanted to get it out there as quickly as possible. And if you've noticed, we've actually made an update to the front end almost every single day. Yesterday I think we were working on making the front end a little bit more responsive because we have so many NFTs inside of the PawnBots pool that it's slowing down our API calls. And then we've added more resources to where we're linking to liquidity on Uniswap directly on the pool page, linking directly to Etherscan, so you can take a look at what type of activity is happening on the specific ERC20 tokens, the pool tokens, and linking to OpenSea so that you can filter by attributes and see something with rarity from that pool page. And while we wait to build out kind of our own custom page that does similar things, why not use OpenSea while it's there and works perfectly fine? It's not the sleek, sexy, integrated, ideal interface, but it works. And that's what we are wanting to see, is that there is traction that can justify additional investment in this direction. So now one thing that people were very quick to complain about is like, well, I've got an NFT that I love, and this isn't for me. I worked really hard to get this, high-end NFT within the collection, and this only serves people who have floor NFTs. And to that, I would say, you're right, and we hear you. And so, what are we doing about that? Well, we haven't quite we haven't quite posted the GitHub yet and made it public, but you can see the code on our Etherscan. And so the code is open source, and what's coming is essentially what we're calling vaulted NFTs. And so you've got an NFT pool, and what that is everybody kind of, it's the community pool. Everybody can throw their NFTs in there. People can exchange out, what they want, when they want, whenever they want. Number two, with the vaults, what that is you end up being able to lock in your NFT so that it does not have a risk of someone coming in and trading it. So it's a vault, it's locked, you won't lose it. And so there's a little bit more complexity to that, and that's why we didn't launch with it. We wanted to see that this gets usage and that there's interest from it, and then we'll continue to add to this product lineup. So rest assured, we have thought of this. We intend to get it out there, but we're going to move a little slowly because, slowly is relative. We're going to move at a rate at which, once we feel like people are understanding what we have out there, we'll start adding to it. That way we don't cause so much confusion and people are overwhelmed by like all this stuff that comes out all at once. But we'll try and do it intelligently. And for the most part, we are moving as fast as our team is capable at the moment. So I think that covers from a high level what we're doing on the pooled NFT front, what you could expect. Another thing that's really interesting, another use case that I remember that didn't cover, but once you have an NFT, or once you have a pooled NFT inside of Uniswap, it also unlocks flash loans, which I imagine there's going to be some really interesting arbitrage use cases to where you could write some scripts to within the same block borrow an NFT and pay it back, unwrap it and wrap it, and walk away with some profit for when there are arbitrage opportunities between marketplaces like Blur, OpenSea, Rarible, and now Uniswap. With Uniswap adding their new, use any ERC20 token to buy NFTs, it makes it super easy to arbitrage. Anytime the price of our NFT pool, anytime that liquidity is higher than the floor price of any of the marketplaces that Uniswap aggregates, it can be a one-click profitable transaction for you. For it, assuming that you have a pooled NFT in your wallet, because you'll be able to buy an NFT with a pooled NFT, and there'll be a delta difference of profit that you can walk away with there. Or so this is really interesting. I think I said that wrong. I think if you just start with USDC, you could buy a uh, pooled NFT for cheap and then purchase the NFT off Uniswap for less than. I know I'm messing that up. Suffice it to say, there's an arbitrage opportunity, and my ability to articulate it on the fly, and my dyslexia is swapping it around. So I'll leave it for an exercise for you to figure out where the arbitrage opportunity is, because you'll be racing me on the other end of that. So, but it's really cool. We saw yesterday that somebody used a Porsche NFT to buy 37 Pawnbot NFTs. That's awesome, right? Like you couldn't do that before. So it's turning these NFT collections into fungible money. And now it seems a little weird to strip away the fungibility of non-fungible tokens, but there are certain benefits, and there's reasons why you'll want to be in the fungible pool versus outside of the fungible pool, and you'll get different types of exposure. Now, different type of users will want to use each tool, but this is the bridge to DeFi. So, and it's open. It is permissionless. We're not taking any fees, and the contracts are incredibly simple. So, we're really excited about that. So next, I'll start going through some of the questions I see in the chat. Okay, could you see us adding JUSD from Ripe as collateral in the future? Okay, so I've got to be honest. I've been super busy working on our stuff here that I actually have not had a chance to dig deep into Ripe protocol. I know Mick has been working really hard on it, and we're incredibly close with Mick, and and so they've been trying to get me to come over to help them test it out, and I just haven't had the bandwidth for it. So what I can say is, in terms of like looking to the future, I've very clearly outlined the strategy that I've imagined for our DAO, and you see it in the blog post where we talk about our customer's problem, our solution, and growth. And so I look into the future, and I think there are some other questions here about like when can we add new collaterals, what new collaterals. I mean, ultimately it is up to the DAO to decide that. Where I will be swinging my influence, of course, is around that strategy. Is it pushing us forward in a real world strategy? Is it pushing us forward in NFT lending and borrowing? Because those are the two places where I think we can take kind of a strategic lead in. And we want to experiment and learn and gain knowledge in those areas. Because even, for example, let's say that the PFP NFT lending thesis either is just too small, or it just doesn't play out for us, or some black swan event teaches the entire space that this is not a great collateral, and in terms of being able to manage it effectively. We still are laying a solid foundation for real world assets that will be represented as NFTs. And so by having a lending protocol that has both support for fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens, regardless of how the PFP thesis plays out, the stronger thesis is really around real world assets and driving, the next, I was reading the report. It's like $22 trillion market vertical in the next like 10 years. And so this is where like the world comes onto the blockchain, and what exactly that looks like, we're still trying to build it. And so we'll learn a lot of lessons along the way, but the strong thesis is around real world assets. And you see that it's very popular. You see a lot more protocols getting up to speed on that, just like we've kind of come independently to that conclusion ourselves. Others, I think, will also, because it is such a big opportunity. When are you looking to update the roadmap? That's a good question. Honestly, prioritizing just shipping little iterations to the actual products, and we'll get to the roadmap as soon as it bubbles up on our Kanban board, and so other things get thrown above that almost every day. So, uh, yep, I don't like that there's not a perfect representation of exactly where we're at in progress, but at least if you're paying attention, you probably got a pretty good idea, especially if you read the blog post. So we'll get to it as soon as we can. Best time to start adding collateral like WETH to the protocol. Well, technically, the protocol does have WETH, but maybe what you're talking about is like staked ETH. We could do it. I have some reservations about staked ETH, but that's like a great thing for us to discuss. Like I can oppose something, and in fact, I think it's really healthy when you see this. You've seen, take for example, Compound and Robert Leshner. He's opposed. You know different proposals before that have actually passed and gone through. That's the beauty of decentralization. Certainly I wield some amount of influence, and I hope that we like stick to kind of like a strategy that is unified, so that in the minds of people who are coming and discovering our project, we can be something very clear and not like a hodgepodge of offering. And so I'll wield my influence towards anything that is leading us towards the real world asset thesis, and anything kind of along the way. So yeah, that's where it is. So but yeah, I mean, technically we could do it today. I think if you look at the recent tweets from the handle, I think we'll probably see a proposal drafted very soon for I would say maybe within a month for adding and don't hold me to that, because if new information comes, I just push the deadline back and I try and do this as reasonable as possible. But uh, today, that's what I believe. But like yeah, within a month, I expect that we would have bots P, or the pawn bots pool token, added as collateral, seeing as we can. So why not? And it will start to educate us, and we'd start with just like really small amounts. So I think we start with a credit extension limit of around $50,000. We've got enough capital in the protocol for that. I think that's a safe you know amount, just to get us educated. People can start playing with it. The interest rate on the protocol right now, last I checked, was like 2%. That's a great rate in today's borrowing and lending environment. So be pretty cool to see that. Okay, so what do you think about your project price? Well, I do think a lot about the project price, but I don't really share opinions about it publicly. And this is why. One, the role I play within the project, it would be inappropriate for me to publicly speculate. Certainly, I have aligned incentives. Part of my compensation comes in our token, and part of our existence depends on that token. A large part of our existence depends on the token and the token price over the next 2 years. So, of course, I keep an eye on it, but. I don't really have much more to add, except practically speaking, like in order for us to grow, in order for this to sustain itself, we are working and have alignment to try to drive value towards the DAO. So it is what it is, and I'm ultimately hopeful that it'll continue to sustain us. But for the most part, you're not going to catch me speculating publicly about this sort of thing, as I think it's inappropriate. Has the team contracted more employees? Yeah, so I actually put out another offer yesterday, and we're currently working to recruit another front end engineer, and I've got some interviews for that scheduled for the coming week, I believe. And so the team is growing slowly, slower than I want it to grow. But finding the right people, I think, is really important. And there's a process involved, and I wish it moved faster. But again, I try to control the things I can, and so it's happening. We're at capacity with what we can manage. We're juggling several project and initiatives and trying to keep some clarity out there. We fall short at times, but we are optimistic that that's going to be alleviated a little bit, and we'll get more clarity. We'll be able to move with a little bit more predictability on timelines and stuff. But you see the effort for us wanting to ship quickly and really uh, do some innovative experimenting, like Pooled NFT. When are we going to lift on Huboy? I'm sure I butchered that. We really love working with exchanges. We hope we'll get listed on all exchanges, but it's kind of a two-way road. Exchanges actually make a profit off of our trading fees, and so I think as our asset becomes more demanded by as we grow as a community, these exchanges will add us organically, and so certainly, there are exchanges you can go and pay on, but I generally see this as poor use of resources. As you're kind of constantly be in the state of getting shaken down from them every perpetually. So we but if you've got organic demand for it, then it'll come. So as we build out our community, I think you'll find that more exchanges will want to have the token on their exchange. Well, Papa created another burden mechanism. So I won't talk about kind of like future things that haven't been published. I don't that deserves a full write up when it's time, and that way the whole community gets that information all at once. And so I'll avoid any sort of like revealing any type of big changes coming to roadmaps or whatever. Obviously, there's some suspense that we have intentionally been building, and I'll reiterate some things that I've said basically in the previous blog post that is already public information. But like, whatever you're imagining is coming, you're just wrong. And there are certain things that I know I'm really good at, and creativity is absolutely one of them. I think we saw this with the crown ribbon reveal. Nobody saw that coming, and whatever you think is going to happen with pawn bots, you're wrong. And I know it because I know what's coming. So good luck on figuring out what that means. And it's intentional because in general, we want to reward people who are here, who are actively participating, who are doing things that help us grow beyond the team's actions. So you saw we did, people who showed up and used the Pooled NFT product within the first 24 hours, boom, we gave them flawless pawn bots. That's the way to win in, with us at least, because we can't do this alone. We can't grow this just with our own efforts. And so, whenever we see community efforts, we want to reward that. And sometimes we won't be able to, but your efforts, if they're good for the community, are helping to grow it, which is, I think aligned with what your outcomes are that you're seeking. So, yeah, so good luck figuring it out, but you don't know what's coming. So I know as much. What's the decentralization status of Hi-Fi DAO? Well, we are decentralized. We do have an entity. We still need to like publish our articles of incorporation. There's still some like administrative stuff that's been kind of pushed down in terms of priority, and so in time we'll get it pushed out there, just like an update to the roadmap on the website, and so that's that's where we're at. Much more decentralized. Ultimately, Hi-Fi DAO controls the lending protocol, and so so that's where we're at. Do you see this as a potential competitor to current NFT marketplaces or a way to complement them? Honestly, I don't. Pooled NFT is more like a tool that like aggregators can consume, marketplace aggregators, and so any aggregator would want to consume us. But yeah, but like it's like we aren't Uniswap, so we're not like the exchange, and so I'd say like Uniswap is in competition with like OpenSea, whereas we are a tool that helps you be consumed by Uniswap as an ERC20 token. I can't tell you more about the wins in the East. How unique is Pooled NFT within the space compared to what others are doing? So fractionalization is not new. We see other teams doing it, and we have seen that they haven't gotten traction. And like largely in my view, because a lot of the fractionalization you see happening is like, somebody like, buys the Beeple 200 days of work where he did his one of day art. And it's this like enormous, like, collector's item, and then they fractionalize ownership of it. But it's like they're fractionalizing ownership of a single NFT, not a collection as a whole. And so, that's what's unique about what we're doing is we're fractionalizing the floor of collections, and most fractionalization up to this point has just taken like extremely valuable and rare one of ones and tried to fractionalize those. And the real reason I don't think that other approach has been successful is because I think it's mostly been used as exit liquidity for the the large collectors, and so nobody likes being other people's exit liquidity, and so I think that's why it is failed to gain momentum on that front. But if you really understand what we're offering here, where we help increase the demand of any NFT collection because we help increase your audience that can have exposure to that NFT collection, then there's no reason why you wouldn't want to use us, Pooled NFT, because it's free. Like, it's permissionless. Like, you don't need to rely on us. You can build your own front end. Like, it's totally open. It's a public good. I don't know what Operation Choke Point 2.0 is, main brain. So sorry. You could try and give me like a TLDR on it, but I'm assuming since I don't understand it, we're probably not affected, and we're healthy and we're doing well. So not not sure exactly what it is. Um, okay, Hi-Fi PalmBot's goals in layman's terms. Okay, so this is what I would say to somebody who wants to understand, like, what are we trying to do here? So Hi-Fi, so we exist to drive value to the Hi-Fi DAO. Full stop. Okay. We would like to be the number one lending protocol in the world. And we believe that the opportunity to gain market share is going to come through real world assets. And so what we are trying to do with Hi-Fi is prepare for real world assets. Now, what PawnBots does is we needed an NFT collection that we could onboard into our infrastructure layers, and have available to us right now, so that if anything were to go wrong, it would be very easy for us to reissue those tokens. And so, for example, let's say there was a bug in the uh, in the NFT pool contract, and our NFTs were locked forever. Well, it doesn't really matter to PawnBots holders because we'll just reissue the collection. It will matter to anybody holding other collections like the Porsche NFT or any other NFT that gets added. Now, I believe it is very well made and very simple, and so I think the complexity is like as minimal as possible. But there's always a possibility of a bug that we didn't see in our extensive testing. Um, so what we're trying to do though is so that's why we have PawnBots. We needed an NFT collection that we controlled so that we could like make it the guinea pig and push it through. And we hope that it gains traction and value, and we can use it as a growth tool as well. I've stated before that I'm not like super satisfied with where PawnBots is today, and I hope to fix that in the future. But so yeah, kind of next steps in terms of growth really is going to be like, okay, PawnBots through the door first. Let's get it added to the protocol, and then I think that I'm going to be advocating for let's go find 10 other communities, and if they'll agree to get $100,000 of liquidity, I guess like technically $200,000 worth of liquidity, because you'll like pair with USDC or ETH, and then on the other side they're like pool token in a Uniswap. In a Uniswap pool, then we'll extend $50,000 of credit to their community, and we can see if this is getting traction or not. We need to experiment, and so that's the next step. And I think as we take this value proposition to other communities, I think what you'll find is our community is going to grow itself, because we have a real value proposition that is going to give them exposure to the things that we're doing. And that's kind of the Porsche 911 play there too. Is I took a high conviction play, contrarian play, which is definitely on brand for me, with the Porsche 911 NFTs. And the idea was, hey, look at this struggling project from a like amazing brand. Can we be a value add proposition and help grow our audience while helping support them and being aligned with them? So we are the number one Porsche NFT holder in the world. I think there was one other guy who tried to like get more than us, but then I think he was farming Blur, and I can't ever keep up with if we're number one or number two, but we certainly were number one first. And now we've started adding those Porsches to the pool. We've got some other plans with those Porsches, what we ultimately plan to do with them, especially around like with what Porsche's doing with those NFTs, where you can get into these worldwide events and have a track day and drive a 911 around the track. We're really excited to do that, but we'll announce that whenever we're closer to showing exactly what is going to happen there. So hopefully that helps you understand, like, that's our goal. Everything we do is to, get hi-fi to real world assets, and PawnBots is one way to do that. Pooled NFTs is an important step for that. And in growing our community by being a value add proposition to other NFT collections is a way that our audience can be bigger for when we finally get through the regulatory requirements for, onboarding Crown Ribbon assets, onboarding other types of assets. We, kind of in the wings are working on a couple different real world asset opportunities that we want to bring on as collateral in time. So check out Crown Ribbon for the best example. It's going to be the custodian for horse syndicates to bring on these cash flowing assets. Once we get our exemption from the SEC, we'll issue those tokens and then hopefully add them as collateral, and they're cash flowing. So that's really exciting. Is PawnBot still number one, or is Porsche NFT more equal or important? Well, hi-fi is number one. Always has been, always will. PawnBots is a tool for hi-fi, for growth, for experimentation. Porsche is a part of our marketing efforts. A lot of people are more aware of us now because of that purchase and us sitting at the number one spot as a holder in their rankings. So we hope to do more stuff like that in the future. Obviously, we have constraints with how much available liquidity we have between what we put into the protocol and what we use to go for these types of marketing activities. And so there's a balance always. How actually separated is Crown Ribbon from hi-fi in the beginning? Okay, so there is a relationship there. So Crown Ribbon is a separate legal entity. Our team will be doing work for them, and so we'll be contracted work for them, and then they, of course, have alignment with us because the ultimate goal is basically for, like, we're essentially building one of our largest customers right now. In the future, when you think about, like, so take this perspective. When you look at, like, how is real world assets and how is broad adoption of blockchain going to happen, it's similar. Like, if you think about blockchain as just any other database, like, how do databases get real world assets? Well, they find their customers, identify them, and it's the customer who chooses ultimately which database to use. So I think a lot about banks and, like, the databases they use. Ultimately, like, the end user doesn't actually know or care. And so what we're doing here is, if we can build our own user in with a massive opportunity to disrupt a multi-billion-dollar industry, then we're basically walking the walk when it comes to, like, how disruptive blockchain technology can be. And so what I imagine in the future is that the main things that are keeping us from mass adoption is, one, our UX, right? Like, using Coinbase and these types of to get to MetaMask, and then MetaMask to then interact with DeFi. It's just not going to happen for most of the people in the world. And so we need a tool that is going to essentially be your Robinhood, that makes it easy for you to jump on, buy a couple shares of something, and then reset your password when you forget it. And so what what you can expect is that the user experience, the end user experience is, you can get onto Crown Ribbon, you can see all these different horse syndicates that you can purchase shares in and get exposure to these horse syndicates and get paid out a dividend based on your exposure there. Advanced users could then like exit to the blockchain with their tokens, just like you can with Robinhood crypto and Coinbase today. But most users are just going to keep their coins on a custody, within the custody of something that they can reset their password for. So onboarding users and UX are the two biggest problems that are preventing us from massive growth and adoption. And so we have to address that. And that's what Crown Ribbon does on our behalf. And so, and as a separate entity, they'll go and pursue their own funding and they'll have their own business model. And Crown Ribbon itself will basically act as one large borrower, and then they can kind of aggregate the debt position between their different users and manage it how they would like. Or they could, issue them as individual positions, or whatever they ultimately optimize around is fine with us. And then we will have basically third-party audits on the valuation of those different syndicates. We'll have but we needed somebody to go and do this, and so we partnered with industry experts to do that. So we're building basically an enterprise level customer to consume hi-fi and our lending protocol and the liquidity pool, because that's the big value proposition that hi-fi has, is to offer up its especially in today's market, the borrowing for 2% versus 5-10% that the banks want today is a no-brainer. And so if we can do that, I think there's a real legitimate chance that we can have a big part in actually disrupting an entire industry. And so that's the moonshot opportunity that that the Crown Ribbon team is. And so they'll build out their own team. They'll take on funding and risks for themselves. And I hope in the long term they'll take a reasonable position in hi-fi token to be able to wield influence for their own purposes for their business. And if we can get several of those types of entities out there that are very interested in have business interest in our liquidity, that's what we sell. We sell liquidity. And so we're building our customer. Hopefully that kind of explains what's going on there. Any plans to audit Pool NFT smart contracts? Probably certain. I mean, if it gets traction, yes. Ultimately, like if we want growth there, we probably need to. And if you looked at the code, like it's so dead simple that like it's hard to want to pay for that. But I think if we're getting traction, it's a great marketing, and it's acting as a great marketing tool, then I guess it would be justified. So I'm definitely open to that. And but not too worried about it for like pawn bots and stuff. So we'll be good. But yeah, in time, I think it could make sense. Yeah, Crown Ribbon will be its own product and own team, everything there. How close is hi-fi with Uniswap? Any chance of being acquired? I doubt it. I think the complexities around acquisitions in this space is ultimately like almost makes it not worth it. So can you talk a little bit about vaults that were referenced? Okay, I did that earlier. Hopefully, that was sufficient. Can we please add a gated bot speed channel? Yeah, that would be fun. I'm down for that. We can get Josue on that. Ultimately, I think we might want to fold the Pawn Bots Discord into the Hi-Fi Discord, but with some, we'll make that transition around the time we go live with whatever happens when the wind's in the east blowing. The only thing I don't understand is that it's a lot cheaper on the pool to buy bots. Will that affect the floor price on OpenSea and Blur when people are trying to sell? And will people not want to buy them as they are cheaper in the pool? I mean, that's a pretty easy question to answer. Do people like cheaper things? Yes. Will so will if you have the option, if assuming that people are aware of the opportunity, absolutely they're going to go buy it from the cheaper place. Now, maybe what people don't love is that um, we added our pool at the highest bid price in the market. So there was quite a spread between like the lowest ask and the highest bid, and we of course put our pool at the highest bid because we didn't want to like create the pool and then just have people like dump into the pool. It's not a great look coming out of the gate. And what we've actually seen is the price has actually gone up slightly on from when we started. I think I have it on it was on the board yesterday. It was like $165, and then yesterday it was $175. So we went up by $10. So when you understand what the floor actually is, how you're articulating that question, King Cliff, the floor is whatever the highest ask is, right? And so or excuse me, it's the lowest ask. And so whenever you have a Uniswap pool, basically brings the floor and the highest bid, right, sitting right on top of each other, which is great for capital efficiency, price discovery, more efficient market. And so, this is going to disrupt certainly PondBot's mode of operation, and people are going to need to learn. But that's the purpose. Like that is absolutely the purpose, that we want people to learn and be disruptive, figure out what's going on, and then take advantage of kind of the new model, new paradigm, figure out where the new opportunities are. And so, that's why PondBots exist. It's a learning tool for the hi-fi community to help us all get educated, because we learned very early on that our community was made of a lot of token speculators, not so many DeFi users, and not so many NFT users. And we need to basically teach everybody, what's important to DeFi users, what's important to NFT users, and how is this a value proposition that we can bring these two worlds together, because that's our real big value proposition, is that we're a bridge into DeFi, and we're going to see the hyper financialization of NFTs, and NFTs is one way that you can represent reward assets, and thus we will have a very robust between fungible and non-fungible support for collateral types within our lending protocol. And so that's it. Like, we're going to have a really robust foundation for borrowing against real world assets. Now, it takes a little bit of time. We're still doing a back and forth on the crown ribbon stuff with the lawyers. And so, but, still 6 months out from that. So we've got time to learn these lessons, to educate, to grow our community, and try and, get ready for, when we finally can start seeing this onboarding of this massive amount of value. And then, we hope to partner with other people who are also bringing real world assets, as long as we can get legal clause to make sure that, hi-fi isn't left holding the bag in, either fraudulent or, some sort of black swan event. We want to work on that. Okay, I see one more question coming in, and I'll just check the what's the interest on a loan on NFT? Well, this is really interesting. Right now on BendDAO, it's like, 25, 30%. So they're an NFT lending protocol. And so it's pretty wild right now over there. And then today on our protocol, which you can only borrow against ETH, it's 2%. And so in time, I expect that those two numbers in an efficient market would sort of converge. And so that means it's a really good thing for borrowers. You can't find, 30% return on your money. Of course, there are risks that you might end up holding a bag that maps to NFTs at the end of the day that have gone down in value. But that's why people are willing to pay that amount. So I think that pretty much covers it. Lots of questions about growth. A little bit of questions about kind of where the state of our team is at. We're healthy. We have more than we can manage right now in terms of our bandwidth. And we're working on hiring, and we have a big thesis. This is a really big bet on the future, that we're going to be able to find a way to bring, a compliant way to have real world assets expressed on chain. And if it works out, I think there's huge opportunities for the DAO. So thank you, everybody. Really excited to see the increased participation activity, people learning all about pooled NFTs. And as we grow our marketing team and our engineering team up, you'll see the fruits of that, those hires, as we are able to manage a little bit more, do productive outreach. I think next week you'll see, the next couple of weeks, I guess, we've got a learn and earn campaign going live with Binance. And so, people will be able to learn all about Hi-Fi protocol, and then they'll receive Hi-Fi tokens in exchange for watching the video. And so, these are all part of our growth and marketing strategy. I think in time, you'll see us advertising in CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko and EtherScan. We want to run ads there, just like we had this article about turning any NFT into passive income. That's a huge deal. We need more people to know about it. And so, I think we've got some really great ideas. We need to get them out there to the world, and we're working on it. So we'll talk to you in the next one.